going that was deducted from your check.
So if let's say I'm somebody who's making 50, 60,000 a year and I've worked the requisite, do I get more if I work all 40 quarters? How do they determine what they're going to pay me?
It's paid on a formula that is actually, there's 3 different formulas, but the government automatically does funnel it into the most favorable calculation for the beneficiary. And it's based on how much you pay in. So someone who's earning 50 and paying in is going to get less than someone earning 60. I think that the average payout amount these days monthly is somewhere between $2,100 and $2,200. That's the average.
Will it mirror, like if I know how much I'm getting for my retirement, because you can get that calculation by just going online at any time. If I know what my retirement calculated monthly amount is, will that have anything, will that resemble my disability calculation?
Very closely, and it's right there on the same website, ssa.gov. Everyone should have their own page on that website, and it will tell you what you will get for retirement, depending on what age that you retire, and what you'll be getting for disability in the meantime.
Okay. All right. I go on there every now and again.
Do you?
Yeah, and look at it. I think, I get like maybe $4,000 a month, something like that, when I retire.
That's on the high end. There is.
Well, I should hope so.
Oh, you won't need that chump change, Dean.
But there is a cap on how much you'll be getting. There is a high level mark, and it's about $4,000.
So even if I contributed more based on the formula, they cap me.
Yes, and unfortunately, the biggest problem, and it's well known with the whole Social Security system, is that you only pay taxes into retirement and pre-retirement disability up to a certain amount of income. It's somewhere, say, $180,000 a year would be the maximum that you'll be taxed on. So someone who's making $1 million a year is not paying more into the system than someone making $180,000 or less.
Wow.
It actually is a regressive tax, and there's all kinds of arguments about lifting that cap would solve all of the problems with Social Security benefits. You hear periodically about the trust system running dry. It would never run dry if that cap was lifted. That's what should be done. That's the easy solution to a lot of problems.
I'm assuming, though, if we lift the cap, that I'm going to make more. That a guy who puts in $1 million a year should not be capped on my benefit.
His return should be almost equally as big.
Fair enough. But it's not a dollar-for-dollar system anyway. If the cap is lifted, the trust fund issues are gone forever.
Well, the issue's been you still got this segment of society that wants to dip into it and do away with it and take it away and gamble with it. I mean,
oh, you mean privatize it?
Yeah, privatize it.
Worst idea that I've heard. It is absolutely the opposite of what should be done in terms of what I'm talking about. It should be regulated so that that cap is lifted, and to privatize the Social Security system would be the ruination of retirement security benefits for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
what are the ills of privatization?
Well, first of all, listen. I'm pretty smart, right? Pretty sophisticated.
A little bit.
I don't know anything about what company. Like this is what I can guarantee you. If I invest in a company, it goes down. Okay, that's what I can guarantee you. And as soon as I sell the stock, it comes back up again. So I don't want nothing to do with nothing when it comes to retirement. Let somebody else smarter than me make those decisions.
Gotcha.
But here's the thing: if things crash, the person who's been paying in and making $1 million a year is not going to feel the effect if things crash as the person who lives on beneficiary check month to month. That's the person who's going to get hurt, and that's the majority of people out there, frankly.
Yeah.
So, man and woman.
What stops us from lifting that cap? Why hasn't it happened if it really doesn't impact the vast majority of Americans who are not making $180,000, right? And so from a numbers standpoint, you would think the majority of Americans would want to lift that cap because they're not impacted one way or the other. Well, they're impacted in a beneficial way because Social Security is saved, but they're not. It's not costing them anything to say, let's lift the cap.
The reason why it's not really discussed and not lifted basically boils down to one word: politicians. They all make a lot more than the cap, and they're busy making a lot more in various ways that I have problems with also. They're the ones that make the rules. They're the ones that have the money. They're making more. They're the ones that don't want to eliminate that cap. That's the problem. It benefits the people in charge to have that cap.
Now, I have to think, too, that much like politics, most folks don't really think about Social Security until they're old enough to be worrying about benefiting from it. It's something that's going to happen later on. Younger folks don't really think about it. They're not going to ask the questions we're asking.
Not only
now.
don't they think about it, they probably think they're never going to get it.
That part, too. So it makes sense that most folks aren't knowledgeable about what we're talking about. It's not something you think about every day.
They're trying to get by day to day, month to month, week to week, and so forth. They're not thinking about 25 years down the road. They're thinking about the 25th of the month.
Amen.
215-227-2727. That's the number for Court Radio every Saturday morning. So if you call that number, folks, you're listening, you want to jump in on this conversation, or you have a legal issue you've been pondering all week long that you need me to answer today, you call us at 215-227-2727. You'll get right through. Sarah will give me your question. I may be able to sink a three-pointer once I'm done with your question.
You going to explain?
Well, the camera's not swiveling, but
We'll figure something out.
yeah, I got my wastebasket.
Backboard and rim.
Yeah.
And net.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fancy.
Yep, I like it. If you're on YouTube, you can post your questions. Carly will get us the question. You can post your questions on YouTube. By the way, thank you, YouTube, for continuing to watch us, follow us, like us, and subscribe to us because it helps the algorithms.
Oh, he said it right. He said it right.
Yeah, baby.
Boy, he put on some glasses, people get smarter.
The algorithms will be impacted, and that will help everybody. The whole world will be better if my algorithms go up. Yes.
It's like diabetes for the tech-minded. I don't know. Algorithms.
Yeah. Diabetes.
Are you
Just leave it alone.
as an aside, and I completely forgot there's so much going on, but the Kentucky Derby, you a horse race guy? Do you care?
I don't. You know when I stopped caring?
What?
I'll
When?
give you a little story. I was with my mom and my brother.
All right.
And we were at Liberty Bell Racetrack.
I remember it well.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
And my mom said, well, pick 3 horses, Dean. And
How old are you?
maybe 10, 12. So I mean, yeah, I'll take this one, and that one. Okay. And my mom said to my brother, go buy Dean a ticket for the trifecta.
Go.
And it was like $2.
Right.
So I'm watching the race, and I'm like, yeah, it is. It's at the track, screaming at the horses. Probably the beginning of my addiction of gambling. And I'm screaming, and they come in just the way I picked them.
Stop.
And it paid like $800 and some. Now this is this is a minute ago. That was a lot of money.
This is 1970, maybe.
Yeah, 1970-ish.
Good Lord. 800? 10 years old?
And-
At the track?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was a good day until my brother came back with the ticket and he had messed it up.
What do you mean?
He didn't get the horses in the order I picked them, and I got nothing. Yeah, thank you, Ricky. Yeah. I gave up on horses after that.
That one time
And
you
my
done,
brother, yeah.
He was disowning you. Fredo! Really? After that, never again? Just because
Yeah.
But boy, the track back in the day.
All right, let's go. We got work to do, boys.
You got callers?
Anonymous on line 1.
Good morning, Dean.
Good
And
morning.
associates.
Morning.
How's everyone this morning?
We're
I've
all
called before, but this time I'd rather stay anonymous on this question here.
okay. Well,
My-
we're going to do
my
a voice. We'll do a voice analysis later. We'll
Oh,
ask
you,
you.
you can do that afterwards.
FBI.
I'll be all right with that.
All
I
right.
love you, Dean. I just turned everybody on to you. I
Thank
think
you.
you're the best lawyer around. For
Thank
real,
you.
for real.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Now, my question is this. I started collecting Social Security at the age of 62, but I decided to continue to work full time. Now, I'm paying still into Social Security. Am I able to collect anything other than what I was getting at the age of 62 now that I'm still paying into Social Security?
That's a wonderful question, and let me just. I want to understand it. So, let's say she's her average under the calculation is she makes $2,000 a month on Social Security, but then she continues to work for a few more years, and it pushes her average up to $2,500 a month. Will her check go up when she stops working?
Yes, but the details are going to be done through a calculation that can only be obtained by an appointment and visit to your local Social Security office, and here's why. Because all of those rules are automatic. You go in there and you explain to them the situation and you show them your proofs and everything, of which they already know because obviously the government's collecting the taxes anyway. They will be able to tell you exactly what the results will be. The only involvement that I get into in the entire field of Social Security primarily is the part that's not automatic. Most of the rules are automatic. The part that's not is the fight for disability benefits. That's a medical determination. It's a very particular and peculiar medical determination, how the whole process is done. This question is excellent. It's a retirement question. It can be answered best and most informatively through your local Social Security office. I encourage you to schedule an appointment and to visit them.
Okay. Well, I'm still working, and I don't know when I'm going to start working because that keeps me occupied and busy.
Does that?
And the
let me
job
ask,
that I have.
Let me ask you a question. As you work and earn money, does that reduce how much Social Security benefit you get? Are you getting a Social Security check while you work?
Yes.
And is that Social Security check reduced by the amount you're earning?
Does she know?
No. Okay.
Okay.
No, and all of that makes perfect sense. The question is really how much more might she be entitled to as a result of continuing to work, and only the local office can answer that. By the way, in 45 years of doing this disability work, I never tell anyone, don't work, don't try to work. I always tell someone exactly the opposite. Work as long as you can, try to go to work, do what you can, stick it out. The process is long and involved. And if you can't work, and that's the point where you can no longer go to any kind of work, that's the time to think about a disability claim. In the meantime, always work as long as you can. I congratulate you on that work ethic, ma'am.
Yes, yes. And I'll be 74 next month, as a matter of fact, and I'm still working.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be 76.
Well, that makes sense why your check didn't go down, because at some point, I think it's 70 maybe, or maybe it's the full retirement age, 67. I'm not 100% sure whether it's one or the other.
72, I think.
But at some point, you can continue to earn as much as you want, and it doesn't impact your check. But as let's say you went out at 62. At 62, if you're earning, it will impact your check. For every dollar you earn, they're going to reduce some of your benefit.
Again, those are particular retirement questions that are really an automatic kind of thing that can be answered by the personnel at the local Social Security office. They do answer.
All right, I'll make it up on.
Yeah, ma'am, you should. They will answer all of those questions. It's automatic, and they will not lead you astray. Have some confidence there.
All right.
All right. Have a good morning, Anonymous. Thank you for your call and compliments.
You guys.
Bye now.
Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
I wonder how hard it is to get an appointment these days.
Whoa. Everything's
know-
text, chat, online.
When they stopped about a year and a half ago allowing walk-ins.
Yeah.
The initial reaction was getting an appointment was next to impossible. Now it actually runs pretty well. Within about a week, if you call, they will have an appointment, and the system now actually runs fairly smoothly. It took a while to iron it out, but right now it seems to be rolling along pretty well.
215-227-2727, the number for all things legal in Philly.
Somebody just said what you said. A younger person said, there will be no such thing as Social Security by the time I retire.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But you really don't have a choice anyway. They're taking it out of your pay, and unless you're making over, as Todd says, over 180,000, the higher those limits means that the folks who are really rolling in the dough, they can continue to pay more into Social Security. They'll get a bigger check. It's not like it's going to be for naught, but it'll solve the Social Security crisis, and folks like you who are 30 or 40 will never have to worry about it, and you'll get your money.
I got to tell you this, for folks that are on the fence about whether you should take it early or not, I was on that fence, and I decided to take it early, and I'm glad I did.
Yep.
At 62.
You took it at 62?
Yes, I did.
Wow. So you've been collecting for a year or so.
And it's been a benefit, I got to tell you.
Huh?
Yeah.
Check comes regular?
Regular. Nope. And there are incremental increases.
COLA.
COLA. Cost of living.
December, yep.
Yeah.
Cost of
Adjustment.
living.
Cost of living adjustment. Yeah.
And you're getting close to getting onto Medicare,
Yeah.
the health benefit.
All that stuff. I'll be 65 in November.
Yeah.
It's all coming right now. It's kicking in.
Wow.
You know.
How hard was it
Or-
for you to navigate your way to getting a check and to get?
I got to be honest. Wasn't hard at all. You know who kept prompting me? My parents. Boy, you better go ahead and get that money. You know, that type of thing. And process wasn't hard at all. And comes very regularly. They keep you, like you said, they keep you regulated about what's happening next. Comes in the mail. Always comes in the mail. They're not going to call you. All right, that scam that goes around. They're good at mailing things.
Correct.
And keeping in touch.
Correct.
Yeah.
Watch out for those calls.
Yeah.
And that early retirement is an individual decision, of course.
And it makes sense for me.
Depending on your own individual circumstances, it can make sense for anybody. Usually people are best off with waiting until at least full retirement age, but Medicare is going to kick in automatically when you're 65 or 29 months after you are found disabled at whatever age. But that's an individual choice, and the government, by the way, does make it easy because it benefits them, frankly, Manuel. It makes it easy to go to early retirement at 62. I've never heard of anyone having a problem with filing early retirement, getting their regular benefits, and then Medicare kicks in when it's supposed to at 65 anyway.
There you go.
You know, good for you. It's
working for me. That's all I
it
can
works
tell you.
for you.
All right, let's talk about disability for a second, and we're going to have to go to a break shortly. But give us a thumbnail as to the difference between Social Security disability and Social Security income.
Okay. Everything with Social Security, they love acronyms, those three initials that define
SSD.
everything. SSD is work history disability. There's no such thing as quote unquote Social Security. It's always Social Security something, retirement, disability, or SSI, which is actually called supplemental security income, and it does none of those things. It doesn't supplement or secure, and it's not guaranteed income. It has to be fought for as well. It's for people without a significant work history, without that 20 quarters out of the previous 40. It's for people who are children, for people who are not yet working sufficiently because they're under the age of 31, for which there's a sliding scale of how much work you have to do anyway. Obviously, you're not going to have 5 previous years working full time out of 10. If you're 31, there's a sliding scale if you're under the age of 31. That actually kicks in when you're age 31 on up. But SSD is work history disability. SSI, supplemental security income, is with insufficient work history. It's the same definition of disability. The benefits are a lot less, and they're means driven, meaning like welfare. You can't have too much income or assets, and by too much, I mean absolutely next to nothing in order to qualify, just the same as with welfare, which are state benefits. So that's the way that SSI works. Same definition of disability. People, the best example of low assets would be less than $2,000 in the bank. You go over that amount, you're not going to get SSI, no matter how disabled you are.
Now, what's interesting about Medicare?
Wow.
Yes, sir, Medicare and SSI, I have to pay into my Medicare monthly under workers with disability, to actually have Medicare, because Medicare doesn't come automatically with SSI.
No, it doesn't. Your relief there is the state, which is Medicaid. And I always have to draw the distinction between the federal benefits that I'm fighting to obtain for individuals and those kind of state benefits like Medicaid or cash benefits for people with dependent minors. And for that, you go to the state welfare office. And they're also actually run pretty well, too. They'll steer you straight. You may not be happy with the answers, but you'll get answers.
What? You gotta.
It's
But
just,
I throw out a lot of it.
no, well, I
I'm looking
mean,
at the look on your face.
so there's Social Security income,
Yeah.
SSI.
Right.
That's needs based.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's SSDI,
DI. and
and that's income based.
Yes.
Okay. That's it. Just stop with the yes. 215
I stopped. I'm like a good client. I
Yeah.
answer yes or no. I say yes or no. That's great.
227-2727. We got a bunch of callers, but keep them coming. We're going to get to you. If you're on the line, hang on. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We are still on YouTube. Or we have any YouTube questions?
All right, Manuel, you're killing me. I got to do a whole bunch of editing because this show has to rerun, and you're talking about sports and you're killing me. But it's okay. I got it.
No question. It's just active conversation about working for a while for Social Security.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I really wanted to cover what happens when you work and you're on disability or SSI.
Yeah, I'm that example.
Because people have called me up recently, even yesterday.
Can you work and be on disability? I mean, it seems like it's contradictory. You're saying you can't work.
You can work a little bit, but you have to know the rules. They are fluid. They are year to year changeable. They are easily misunderstood on purpose. They want to trap you up. And I have my last call last night was 7 o'clock trying to explain to a guy that if you break the rules by $1, you're screwed.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
And
It's
also,
not where
I
you
think
have to pay back that dollar. It's you got to pay back $29,000 or something like that. I mean, it's really tricky.
right, and
So
I
really
think it's
wanna talk
based
about
on
work
what you
both.
used to do. So if
Yes.
you can't do what you used to do, but if you're working at something that you didn't used to do,
And
It's
not
okay.
a lot of work.
and it's not a lot of work.
They go on dollars and they go on amount of time. Like 20 hours a week. People say, well, it's part-time. No, it's not. It's more than part-time. But that's what I want to cover a little bit, if we can, about working on disability, because people are calling me up, more and more. They're after people. They're trying to kick people off the rules.
They really
more
are.
and more. That's the way they get
I wonder
people.
what percentage of the population is on SSD.
Google. I don't know, but if
Yeah.
you Google how many people are on disability, how many people are.
What's the percentage of Americans on Social Security disability benefits?
Disability is disability insurance, but insurance for wages. And SSI is supplemental security income for whatever reason.
4% of Americans.
All right, here we go.
Good morning and welcome back. I am Dean Weitzman, your host every Saturday morning right here on 100.3 WRNB.
And Classics 107.9.
I host court radio for your edification. If you have any legal problems, issues, or turmoil in your life, this is the show to listen to every Saturday morning. Just give us a call, 215-227-2727. I don't remember the last time I couldn't ask a question. Maybe it was in the 50s or 60s. Yeah. Because generally speaking, I know everything that you need to know about every legal issue in your life.
Oh, really?
Yes. And if, for some reason, I should not know the answer, I will give you an answer that sounds like I know the answer.
Oh,
Fake of the funko.
faking the funk.
Faking the
Da,
funk.
da, 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 da.
Okay,
No,
Dean. I am Dean, the great and powerful.
I will get you the answer.
right.
That's the real truth. I will get you the answer. If you need to email me, you can email me at to dean@myphillylawyer.com. Yeah, you keep that phone number, 215-227-2727, and that email handy, and make it work for you.
Yeah.
All right?
It's
Make
working
it work.
for a lot of people out
If
there.
you've been in an accident,
Big time.
you better be calling me first.
Absolutely.
Because I hear from a lot of people who, for some reason, and they all have different, stories, but for some reason, they get pulled into a different direction. And
They listen to the hype man.
then they're not happy. Things are not going the way they had
Take it
hoped
easy.
it would.
Take it easy. Over
Yeah.
there. Take it easy.
And then they call me, and they want me to unwind the clock.
And you can do that.
Sometimes I can, but it certainly will be more beneficial to start with me as opposed to moving over to me.
Real
The point
quick.
is, you can change attorneys if you like.
Right.
You can do that.
Yes, you can.
And real quick, let them know kind of what that process is.
Yeah.
The process to change an attorney is simple. You notify the attorney who's currently representing you that for whatever reason, and you really don't even need a reason, you're simply done with them. And then you contact me, and I send a letter to that attorney, and the two of us work out some equitable arrangement for the fee. So the fee doesn't change for the client. Client's going to pay the same percentage.
They don't get hurt.
Regardless. They don't get hurt. But that fee may be split between the originating attorney and my office. And it really depends on how much time and work that other attorney has done on the file as to how that division of the fee will occur. But that's something between the attorneys. The client really doesn't need to be worried about that. All
Does
right?
that happen frequently?
It happens every year a number of times.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it does. And the sooner you come to that realization that you're not happy where you are, the better off you'll be, because the easier it is to make that move. Like, don't call me the day before trial begins to say, they're forcing a settlement down my throat and I want you to try this case, and I've got 24 hours to get ready to try a case.
Don't do that.
That's not happening.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's not happening. In any event, we've got Todd Berk in the studio, speaking of attorneys.
Yep.
And Todd and I have worked together on files for decades. And whenever I have a Social Security disability issue, I call Todd. And it, even for my own family members, right?
That's correct.
That is correct. I tell you the truth. I'm comfortable Todd knows his stuff when it comes to this area of the law. And he is a tireless advocate for his clients.
That is correct.
Calling people back in the middle of the night, and just concerned for the welfare of his clients, and wants to do everything he can to make sure things go right for them. That's
I tell people I can be in touch with you evenings, weekends, it doesn't matter, holidays, just let me know. Email's a great way to get a response from me at whatever time you want. And I also tell people that except for in the fall for 3 hours on a Sunday when the Eagles are on, that's when I don't work. But everyone seems to be agreeable with that. So it's,
that works for us.
It's under. I don't do anything during Eagles games but that.
what type of disability, medical condition are the typical types of conditions that folks could expect to receive disability benefits if they suffer with them?
Heart failure that does not respond to conservative treatment or to valve replacements or those kind of things. Lots of spine injuries for one reason or another. There's lots of times when there are operations and they're successful, at least to 80% of recovery. That's great. If you're feeling that much better, go back to work or go back to some other kind of work. That's great. I'm talking about failed back surgeries, the kind where the screw in your neck breaks when they've bolted your vertebrae together, and you've got to go in for a lot of pain management and probably further intervention, those kind of things. There's also, it's diseases, it's trauma, it's almost anything that you can name under the sun. The key is not just the diagnosis, it's the clinical studies, the ongoing complaints, the lack of significant recovery, and the fact of the severity of the problem. I always tell people that doctors write things in terms of mild or moderate limitations or restrictions. That's not going to win the day. It's the problems that are severe or extreme that are going to help in either physical or mental health cases. They're both.
Now, in my world, I got to bring a doctor in live. Do you have to bring your client's doctor into Social Security to testify for them?
No, they're not interested in what doctors have to say live. They're not interested in a fancy letter or an expert report, although I use those where cases are referred to me and there's been a long-term disability workup or an injury workup or those kind of things. What they want to see is records. They want to see notes. They want to see ongoing complaints. They want to see clinical test and blood test and especially diagnostics that show lack of improvement or the other way, unfortunately. That's what they're really looking for, is a paper trail of complaints, not anything that is an overall report or anything like that.
Real quick, Todd, do you need to be to get disability actually denied before they see you, or should they see you when they're applying for disability?
I want to talk to someone the earliest as possible, just like Dean was saying. A lot of times people call me up, they're still working full-time, but they're facing a medical issue that they know eventually, given their age especially, is going to cause a problem in the future. You don't have to be denied, but I do want to get involved as soon as possible. If you wait to get denied, the problem is that there's already been some records, there's already been some forms that are filled out that are not under my direction. You're really not doing yourself a favor. The best thing to do is to get me in charge from day one, as early on as possible. We will do the applications for you. They're very complicated now for SSD, for work history disability. We are allowed to do that for you. We do it all the time. We are not allowed to do that for an SSI application. It's got to be done by the individual at the local Social Security office. But, just like in Dean's situation, the earlier you see me, the better.
Gotcha.
Let's talk to Anonymous.
Again?
Again, another Anonymous. Line 5. Good morning. Welcome to Court Radio. Hello.
Anonymous.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Court Radio. What's your question for Todd?
I would like to know if you're on disability, when you turn 65, would you be still eligible for both of them, disability and disability and Social Security?
No, you only get one or the other. That's why I like it when people, if they're going to think about applying for disability, they hold off from early retirement. There's other reasons, as Manuel was saying, about applying for early retirement, but your disability check is going to turn into a retirement check, basically the same amount when you reach whatever is the current age for full retirement age. In my case, it was 67 and a half or something like that. It might be the same or 3/4 or 68 at this point. I'm not sure. But you don't get both. You'll get disability, and the month after you turn full retirement age, it will change. The name of the check will change from insurance to retirement. That's
Will the amount change?
Yeah.
pennies.
Okay.
Well,
so then
that's
there's no benefit to getting, if you're on disability, you might as well just stay on it until you get to be 67 and a half.
They're going to have you stay on it, and you don't make any move. Wait till your full retirement age, and then you'll get your full retirement
But if you're
benefit.
working part-time in disability and still putting into the system, how does that work?
You will probably get more, but working is an issue that I did want to talk about a little.
Go ahead.
While you're applying.
And what we mean by that is you're on Social Security disability, but something comes along and you can do a little side gig for a few hours a week. Can you do that while you're still on disability?
Yes, but the first thing you do is
They only allow you so
Security
much money.
and study as best you can the conflicting fluid rules about how much you can work in terms of hours and how much you can make in terms of dollars, because there's obviously different hourly rates and so forth. So study that. The next thing you do is call me up and ask me, and I will tell you, go back and study it again, because it's very complicated, and my job is getting people on disability. If you want to go back to work, and I encourage you to, know the rules. You just can't work or earn too much. And when you cross that barrier by dollars, it's not like you owe them back dollars. You owe them back thousands of dollars because they think you've been working too much, and they'll allege that you owe everything back, and then you're stuck into an overpayment situation. They're very complicated, and they're very distressing, and that's why I like it when people know what they're getting into before they start working. I don't tell people don't go to work. I tell them, you want to try, just know the rules before you do. It can work to your benefit, but it can also jeopardize the whole situation.
Is that a question that folks could bring to their local Social Security office? I'm contemplating this 3 or 4 or 5 hour a week gig. I'm going to make X amount of dollars. Can I do that? And what will the impact be on my Social Security?
Sure, and they'll get honest answers. There's no question about that. But the rules are different depending on how many hours that you work, or whether you work full-time successfully for 9 months out of the first 5 years that you're on disability. I'm telling you, there's different rules that cover a plethora. There's another big word.
Yeah, there you go.
That cover a plethora of situations, and they're very complicated. So if people call me up who are trying to go back to work, and they tell me every month how things are going along, I'll remind them this is the situation that you're in. There's different tracks for how much you can work and stay on disability, depending on if you're working full-time, part-time, or what you're earning. It's really a complicated problem. It's very distressing. I was on the phone with the guy last night. My last call was 7 o'clock. I was giving my usual free time and advice in an overpayment situation, and trying to explain to him that the problem was that even though he'd worked over the alleged limit by allegedly $1 or $5 or whatever, this is why he got a letter telling him he's got to repay $29,000 in the next 30 days. None of that's going to happen, of course, and I was giving him a lot of free time and advice, but it's very distressing to think that if you can't break the rules a little bit. You either break the rules and then you're really stuck, or you try to stay within the rules with a lot of safe margins.
215-227-2727, the number for all things legal in Philly. Demetrius on line 4. Eric? Oh, that dreaded sound. Yeah, it hasn't. Let's talk to Andre on line 3. Andre.
Hello, good morning to you guys.
Good morning, Andre. Welcome to the show. What's your question for Todd?
My question was, I think I might have heard an answer from the previous caller, but currently I'm on Social Security disability. I'm 63. I went out of work at 21st of January of 2025, and so right now I was cleared. I gotta say, I was cleared within a 6-month period to be approved for disability.
Okay.
So
it went smoothly and quickly.
Yeah, to my surprise, yes. And thankful for that. I worked over 40 years in my life. So on that day that I described to you of last year, I just, for some reason, I walked out of that and not feeling great from a physical standpoint. And I just decided that, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so anyway, fast forward here a year later. So I know this administration is looking to make changes, and not for the better in terms with Social Security, administration. And so I'm just wondering if, can I expect to be getting targeted, not individually, collectively, people in the same situation as me. And, with this administration, is they going to do anything to disrupt what we have? Like, I'm comfortable with what I'm receiving right now. I only have me to take care of. So
sounds like what he's saying. Is there anything in the wind that you're aware of that's going to hurt
right.
him?
That's thank you.
There's a lot of things in the wind, but nothing that's going to hurt him because it's not going to happen that quickly. And by the way, sir, I congratulate you. Obviously, given your age and given your particular medical circumstances, you were able to get that kind of early approval. When I hear that, I'm happy. Believe me, I don't want people to have to go through what all of my clients go through, being tortured for up to a year, and I'll explain why it's only up to a year to get to that final situation. The culmination of these claims basically is go along with this program for a year. The end result is get me in front of a judge for an hour, and I firmly believe that we'll be fine. And the best news of all, this gentleman didn't have to run into it, is that the entire process now is telephonic and electronic by choice. So what that means is that I will never have to drag someone out of their home to do anything. They won't have to go to a deposition. They may have to go to see a Social Security doctor. That's the usual process. But
yes,
I won't ask them to go out of their home, even for the hearing. They're going to be at home for the final court hearing on a telephone in the privacy of their home. I'm going to be where I am. The judge is going to be where he or she is. It's all done by telephone, not even Zoom. Makes it very, very convenient. That part of the process, due to COVID changes, is what's really helped people along. The current things that are in the wind are all disastrous for claimants, of course, and the only hope is that either they don't come to fruition ever, or it's too far in the future to certainly benefit, to certainly work to the detriment of this gentleman. So good for you, sir. I think you're on safe ground.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man, because I'll just share this one thing. I did speak with a Social Security administrator, and they was informed me that within the next year, this time next year, I would be already pre-approved for like Medicaid, which I forget whichever one comes first, Medicaid or Medicare. I don't know.
Medicare is 65. Yes.
Medicare, yeah. So they said that I will be pre-approved at that time. That the process will be getting started this time next year. So I'm happy about it.
You're 64, Andre. 64.
63. I'm 63. I'll be 64 next year. So
okay.
Yeah, because you said 65 is good to.
Andre, the only pre-approval you need is turning 65. It's automatic, so no concerns there either. Good for you.
Andre, take care. Thanks for calling Court Radio. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Are you making those shots, Dean?
Yeah.
I want to say that Eric, that was a three-pointer.
Oh, stop! Did it?
That was a three-pointer.
On your honor.
Come on my honor.
Okay.
I'm a scout. Eagle Scout. Folks, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Todd Berk talking Social Security.
Daughter, Dean Waxman.
Daughter?
Anthony Phillips, fiance, councilman. I told you.
Yeah, I gotta go home real quick because I gotta see.
He had a meeting, and I'm
I
like,
know.
It's not going to be there.
No, I'll try to get there
the
as soon
music?
as possible.
Carrie, daughter, Cherie, Carrie.
He ain't gonna leave
Carly,
right away.
Carly.
When I get that starts at 10, I'm gonna leave here at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I should make it a little bit.
Say hi to YouTube.
Huh?
Say hi to YouTube.
Hey, YouTube. Say hi, daughter. Say hi to YouTube. She's getting married. I feel like the guy in My Fair Lady.
When we get married.
She graduates Thursday
Oh,
from.
snap.
Temple.
Yeah. She has a media company. She's doing this for us and for her and for our platform. What's the problem is she's not allowed to touch this equipment, is she? She can't come in Sunday mornings and switch, can she? Because she knows this stuff. She's not allowed it. Stop it. We're on YouTube. No compromise.
But you know what?
Well, I'm not allowed to have iced tea on my desk either, but
No one knew until you just said that.
yeah, forever held on YouTube. So anything going on the tube, Carly?
We have a couple questions.
Yes.
We have someone wants to explain if you can't work a certain amount of hours to get the Social Security
Well, disability.
or disability.
Is there a limit on how many hours you can work when you're on disability?
Well, the limit is both in terms of hours, but if you're earning, for instance, minimum wage, you could work actually 18 to 20 hours a week if you're on minimum wage. If you're making $25 an hour instead of 15, let's say, then you're going to be working 12 to 15 hours a week. So it depends.
Well, it depends on how much you're making, right? Because I think there's a limit of what, like
Exact-
$1,200 or something like that.
Exactly. Well, the amounts change all the time.
Oh wow.
And the problem is you have to read them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and annually because there's rules that apply to all of that. So it's complicated.
Wow.
That's a good question.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Dean Weitzman, your host every Saturday morning on Court Radio right here on 100.3 WRNB.
And Classics 1079.
There you go. We've been joined in the studio today by my friend Todd M. Berk, who is a wizard when it comes to Social Security disability and all things Social Security. We were talking about the problems with being on disability and doing a side gig. And I think the takeaway from that is it is extraordinarily complex as to what you can and cannot do. The consequences of breaking those rules is that you may have to pay back all of the benefits you've received to date. And I don't know how far back they'd go, but it would be in the tens of thousands more likely than not. And so the negative impact is extreme. Make sure, buyer beware, that you have read all of the rules and that you know exactly what you can do and then comfortably stay far behind that line.
Correct. I tell people, if you want to work, fine, but just know the rules. I can give you a thumbnail sketch, but go right to the people that make the rules. That's your local Social Security office. They'll tell you the rules, or go on the website. That'll tell you the rules. But there's different rules depending on how long you work, your hours, weekly, monthly, annually, how many dollars that you can make. So someone who's making $25 an hour is going to work less hours than someone making $15 an hour. It's on both. It's meant to be complicated because it's meant to trip people up, and that's the biggest problem that people run into with working while they're on disability, and that's basically working too much or earning too much. Be careful out there.
Okay, I want a thumbnail sketch. I filed my application. I didn't listen to you. I didn't call you first. I filed my application, and sure enough, a few months later, I get a letter in the mail, a very thin letter that says, "You're denied."
Denied.
Then I heard this show, so I reach out to Todd and I say, "Yo, I got a denial. What do I do?" From that point on, what happens?
Tell me what's going on. We'll send out a sign up. Once you're signed up, we can do the appeal within 60 days. We can do the appeal through our office, and we prefer to do it that way because we'll use, of course, the most helpful language. They can try to trip you up at every step of the way, but give me time. We'll do the appeal. Those letters are not to be taken personally. They're meant to chase people away, and they do. They chase people away with really good cases, and where they wind up, Lord only knows. But don't take that letter seriously. There will be a second letter that comes along down the road, also about a couple months after that, and that is an appeal. That's the time to appeal to get in front of an administrative law judge, and then we go through the process of getting things lined up with a hearing, getting the telephonic hearing set up, and that's the key, is when I get to talk to the judge.
But you give them like a questionnaire to fill out, and something for their doctors to fill out as well, right? For your case.
I'm looking for doctors' records. Sometimes doctors will fill out a very brief form that really gives specifics about the severity of the condition. Sometimes doctors, physical or mental, will fill that out. Most times they won't. But judges are interested in, patient complaints. They're always looking for the one day out of 300 days when the patient said, I'm feeling a little better. That's the day the judge wants to talk about, not the other ones. I want to talk about the other ones.
How do I afford you? How are you getting paid, and what's it costing me?
Absolutely nothing. That's the best part of it. It's a contingent fee, like an accident case with you, Dean. That is so that everybody can afford me. Anybody can afford me because there's no fee unless and until I win. Now, I'm a straight shooter. If I think that a case has no chance of winning, and many, many of them have no chance of winning in my humble estimation, then I'm going to let you know. And people actually appreciate that forthrightness. You know, they know where they stand. That's what people want to know, is an honest answer. But if I take the case, then we're going to do all of the work, except for the one time you have to go to a Social Security doctor or not. Those exams are usually helpful to me, but don't let me do the worrying. I want my claimants to do one thing only. Know they can always get in touch with my office or myself. I want them to do the one thing that's most important, continue to go to all of their doctors, especially the specialists, and let them know what's going on with them each and every time that they visit there. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see, and that's the kind of stuff that's going to win the day with the judge.
Percentage?
The percentage is a one-time fee. Thank you, Dean. I got a little off track. It's 20. It's if unless and until I win, there's no fee. It's the lesser of 25% of retroactive benefits with a cap. The cap on that is $9,200. That doesn't mean you owe me that. It means that the fee is the lesser of those two amounts. Retroactive benefits are from, you've been out of work for a year or two or three or more, as far back as I can get you found disabled and paid until the day we win the case. That's retroactive benefits. One-time fee, not on monthly benefits going forward. Costs are usually minimal. They're always at the expense of the claimant, but they're usually minimal, to say the least, or none at all. And the cap on that is $9,200. For people in the upper brackets who are on disability, what that basically means is that if there's $100,000 of past due benefits, the fee is not $25,000. It's capped at $9,200, and that's been raised from $6,000 to $7,200 to $9,200 under the previous administration. I'm happy to say, and it's a contingent fee. I got to win.
Wow, that doesn't sound like an awful lot, to be honest with you. Coming from my perspective,
it's not.
215-227-2727. If you need me, that's the number. Put it in your phone. Give me a call. I am out of time, Todd. You know how quickly these hours go.
I love it.
How do we find Todd?
Yeah, how do they find you, Todd?
215-557-7777. Email me at tberk@toddmberk.com. That's tberk@toddmberk.com. I'd love to hear from you.
It is.
Folks, we'll see you next Saturday. Same time, same place.
YouTube is still on, though, Todd.
Yes, we're still
You're
on.
still on camera.
We're still on camera, still on YouTube.
We do have some more questions.
Interesting questions, too.
Yeah. One question was about switching attorneys when we were having that conversation.
Uh-huh.
They said, would you be able to have that initial conversation with the old attorney so it removes the client from the part of the conversation where you don't want to tell them they're fired?
Yes, but you should probably write to that attorney by email if you don't want to speak to them. It is cleaner and better if the client reaches out to the old attorney to sever that relationship in some fashion, whether it be an email, a handwritten letter, I don't care. And then when I send a letter to that attorney, he or she already knows that that relationship is over.
By the way, you can do that on a disability claim, too. I get lots of individuals who are not being handled in their minds properly, and I am very happy to take over a case. It's never at the client's expense. It's always at mine. But I get lots of cases from other folks who are not exactly happy with what's going on.
Right. And then we have one more question. It said, if you're working and collecting Social Security and you pass away, does your wife, who is younger and is not yet able to collect Social Security, start to receive your Social Security?
I think that's at age 60. That is one of those automatic questions that a local Social Security office will answer for you. and they'll give you the honest information. You can find that on the website. That falls into the automatic provisions, and the answer to that is yes, given certain provisos. Check with the rules on site or in an office.
All right.
Can I get your phone number and email one more time? Sorry.
215-557-7777. Email is tberk@toddberk.com.
maybe
I am Todd
3 out of
Berk, and
5
that's
shots.
tberk@toddandberk.com.
one was the 3-pointer. YouTube,
Any more questions?
peace be with you. I see you next Saturday. Thanks for joining us.
Well, see you tomorrow.
You out now?
Yep.
Oh.